Welcome to the third module of the first 5 days. In this, it's geared mainly towards your financial CA or your billing CA. Now, if this is a current position that you've taken on, you have a lot of responsibility. In fact, the financial integrity of your office rests on your shoulders. You see, because when you have the opportunity to learn and gain more experience, like this video series, or when your doctor can travel to learn more or do online series, or when we're talking about educating our community, all three of those examples need some financial backing to be able to do that. And so the office has to be strong in the financial sense so that you have the opportunity to do more education for your doctor, for your fellow CAs, yourself, and your community. So we're going to walk you through the next few videos on what your primary responsibilities are and set you up for success, because our goal for you is to achieve a 95% collection rate, and that should be on a monthly basis. When you do that, you have a strong and healthy financial situation for your office. Now, part of the reason that you can have the success to do that is because you are going to be in charge of everything financial communication in the office. So whether that's be between the doctor and you and the patient, whether that's your front desk CA and you when a patient's balance is coming back a little bit different from insurance, anything financial, as long as you're communicating with the patients, with the doctor, and with your fellow CAs, then everyone's on the same team working together. If you're new to anything to do with insurance and billing, there is a whole new language for you to learn. And if you don't have a good understanding of this vocabulary and of the language of insurance, then it makes your responsibilities difficult to achieve and have success. So before we dive into the what and the hows, first of all, we're going to dive in and learn a new language. Now, in your downloads this month, we have a detailed vocabulary that will go through these, but I just wanted to highlight some that are very important to you. Again, if you're new to insurance pay, you might hear the term third-party pay, and all that really tells us is that somebody other than the patient is also paying. So, another insurance company. When we talk about insurance claims, a claim is what we send the insurance company that describes what services the patient had done in our office on a particular date. The claims are how we respond or how we communicate with the insurance company. Now, in these claims, again, we have to have detailed information that's a different language than we're used to, because these claims have to have certain codes, and one is your ICD-10 code. And that's basically describing why the patient came in. The next code we need is a CPT code, and that's a 5-digit code that specifically says the treatment done in the office. So if it's an adjustment, there's a specific 5-digit code that describes what kind of adjustment, whether it's a 1 to 2 region or a 3 to 4 region. And sometimes these CPT codes need what we call a modifier. And a modifier is going to go in and give a more in-depth explanation of what was done. Now, some offices will work on extremities, a wrist or an ankle. And an extremity CPT code is going to be the same. And your modifier is what's going to tell the insurance company that, well, it was a wrist or it was a wrist and an ankle. So that's how we communicate clearly. And when those codes are done and done properly, then that communication between our office, the claim of the patient, to the insurance company, we're clear on that, and payment happens at a pretty quick rate. Well, for the insurance world anyway. Another term that you're going to hear are initials. There are a lot of initials. Is SOAP, S-O-A-P. And those are the notes that your doctor has to have in your patient claims. It stands for Subjective, Objective, Assessment, and Plan. So each time they're going to go through and understand where the patient feels, what the doctor is assessing, what he knows or she knows to be true, and what the plan of action is going to be. Those are all terms that are going to be common and need to be a part of your claims. Now, when we're billing out, we do that electronically. And we're going to send the insurance company an EDI, which is an electronic data interchange. And when they We send the information, they go through, they look for all these codes, modifiers, what we've just described, and then they go ahead and they make the payments on these claims. They're going to send an EDI back, an electronic data interchange, and that's how we communicate back and forth. Your HIPAA video, which is your next two videos, will describe why we can send this stuff electronically and how HIPAA allows us to communicate electronically with protected health information for our patients. Now, when we send the information and the information is sent back to us, the insurance company will communicate with us and our patients through what's called an EOB. And that stands for an explanation of benefits. So we get that on the end for payment, and the patient gets that to say, this is when they say you were in, this is what was done, this is what the cost was, this is what we paid, this is what you're responsible for. So it's a very clear communication between all three parties. Now, one thing when we are having insurance in our office, one term that you're going to hear often is what's called assignment. Now, when we are a provider for an insurance company, it means that we're contracted to accept what they are going to say they will pay. So we could have an adjustment cost $50, but Blue Cross and Blue Shield says they will pay $46.50 for an adjustment. So we agree to accept that assigned price for the adjustment. We write off that $2.50, sorry, $2.50, and that just we don't get. So that's what's called a write-off. Now, when we have a patient that has a policy and their provider and their health insurance is Blue Cross Blue Shield, then when they come in, $46.50 is what we can collect from them. Now, sometimes that's going to be different depending on if they have what's called a copay or a coinsurance. Now, a copay is when an individual has an insurance policy set up that they pay a certain amount every visit regardless of what's done. So a copay sometimes will be $35. So even though the adjustment is $46.50, the patient's going to pay $35 and the insurance company will pay the rest. Now, if they come in and they have an adjustment and maybe some rehab, again, that patient's only going to pay the $35 copay, and the remaining balance the insurance company is going to pick up. Now, a coinsurance is similar, but typically with a coinsurance, what happens is the patient is going to pay a certain percentage and the insurance company is going to pay a certain percentage. And most times with a coinsurance, there's a deductible, which means there's a set amount that the insurance company has stated the patient must pay X amount, let's say $500, before any insurance reimbursement will happen. So in this case, our patients for Blue Cross Blue Shield, when they come in, are going to be charged $46.50 for every adjustment. And once they've paid $500, and they could be making payments at other healthcare providers, so once that $500, no matter where it's spent, is spent, then the insurance company will start to pay, if it's an 80-20, 80% is on the insurance side and 20% is on the patient side. Then when the patient comes in, they're going to pay 20% of that $46.50, and the insurance company is going to pay 80%. When you get to figuring your care plans, these are crucial to understand these terms and what the patient portion of the payments will be. Because when we figure out the insurance or the payment plans, we need to make sure that we are sharp on what we're figuring, because if we take a patient's financials and we are not doing them justice or we are not giving them the correct information, we can save them thousands of dollars from back surgery or other healthcare that needs medicines and surgeries. But when we do such a great job with our chiropractic care, but we don't take care of their finances, we've just lost a patient, and worse yet, we've lost a patient that is going to tell everyone how bad not only our office is, but how chiropractic just doesn't work. So we have to be very careful that when we are dealing with finances and other people's finances, we have the addition correct and what the patient actually needs to pay correct. Now, there are times the insurance company, they're not always truthful, or their policy comes back different than what they said in the beginning. And we'll deal with that in a couple videos. But we just want to make sure that from the get-go, we do our absolute best to give the most correct information we can. And if we don't understand these terms, then we don't know how to create a payment plan, we don't know how to bill the insurance, and we don't know how to receive the payments. And if we don't know those things, then having a 95% collection rate is going to become very difficult. So the next few videos are going to take you through how to verify insurance, how to create a payment plan, and it'll take you through the birth of a claim and onto how we accept payments from insurance companies. You're on an exciting adventure. Have fun and good luck achieving your goals.